So, Anne, safety and scientific integrity. You're asking what I feel about Kennedy heading up this panel at the request of Trump, our new president. I am thrilled. Now, that's odd coming from a board-certified pediatrician, but it shouldn't be, folks. Think about it. We have the AAP, my academy, the Academy of Pediatrics, and the CDC, Center for Disease Control, whose mission is to protect the public from infectious diseases. And in the case of the Academy of Pediatrics, it's to promote the well-being of children. What would be better than to actually put a commission together that's going to really dig into this? Because we know we have a problem. When I was a child, I knew nobody with autism. When I was in medical school, 1981 to 1985, I saw not one single case of autism. When I was in residency training from 85 to 88, I saw a couple cases of mild, what we used to call PDD-NOS, pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified. None of these severe, rapid regression into autism when you had previously a normal child at, say, age 1. And then in the 2000s, this just started exploding. So if you're paying attention, CDC, AAP, you just need to open your eyes and acknowledge, okay, first of all, we have a problem. I think we that. I know there's attempts to say, oh, it's not a real epidemic. Come on. When I give talks, sometimes I'll ask a room full of people. Let's say there's 200 people, and I'll say, those of you who are 60 years and older, raise your hand if you grew up and knew somebody growing up who had autism. Usually not a single hand goes up. I had one talk where one hand went up. Then I'll say, all right, for the rest of you who are under age 30 or 40, how many of you either have a child with autism or know a child with autism? And just about every hand goes up. It is not better diagnosis. Sure, there's a little bit of that. Have a real epidemic. So we need to figure out why. And there's nothing better than putting some minds that are serious about digging into this. We just can't close our eyes, put our blinders on and say vaccines are safe and effective, end of story, we've looked at it, we're done. You see, the problem is the IOM report that said this has been studied, study it no further. That is the most unscientific approach I've ever heard of, especially when you have an ongoing epidemic. Many of you may have seen the reports out of California. The kindergartners last year, compared to the year before, there was a 17% increase in autism just for the kindergarten class. This is not going away. It's getting worse. So no, the science isn't settled. The time is now to look at it carefully. What's needed is we've got to get William Thompson at the CDC to come testify. He said he would, and this group can make that happen. There are a group of researchers who are worried about the scientific integrity at the CDC, and then it's time. I mean, I don't mind researching Zika virus just to pick on something, but let's face it, there's a handful of cases of Zika maybe in the US. We have 1 million cases of autism this past decade, and it is growing at a rapid rate. And that's the tip of the iceberg. For every autistic kid, there's 5 or 10 other kids with more subtle neurological issues, learning problem, anxiety, ADD, ADHD, and then all the autoimmune and immune system disruption that goes on. We've got to look at this. If you don't like the idea, then you're not willing to get to the truth. Because really, it's just the truth that we're after. We all want safe vaccines. We want a safer way to protect our children. We want healthy children who are not damaged by what we are actually doing. In medical school, they teach you about iatrogenic disease. If you see something new that's coming up in your population or in your patient, the first thing you think about is, did I do something to cause this? And you know what? Why is it that somehow with vaccines we just can't look? It's like, no, we're not going to look there. They're safe. Nonsense. So this is the best thing that's ever happened, and I hope this goes forward, because once the truth starts coming out, we can start unraveling this disaster that we've created.